Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another session of the Creative Well virtual retreat. We are here talking about refilling, refueling, recharging our creative batteries so that we can go out and make the art that brings us so much joy and so much healing and brings so much beauty into the world. Because when we let that energy run dry, our creative life just comes to a halt, and we want your creative lives to keep on going. My name is Amy Blair. I'm your host, and today I am so happy to introduce to our community Shelley Clammer. Welcome, Shelley.
Oh, thank you, Amy. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so Shelley is a depth-oriented psychotherapist and an educator with an International Expressive Arts Therapy Association. She supports women who struggle with anxiety and depression to heal emotional repression through powerful practice of self-expression. Beautiful. We're so happy to have you here, Shelley, and I'm so happy to introduce you to our community. You do amazing work helping women heal. So we're so grateful for all of your gifts.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So Shelley, I know that among all of the things that you do to work with women, you are an intuitive artist. You work with the intuition a lot. And I also identify as an intuitive artist. And I love just asking people the question, like, what does that mean for you? Like, how do you define intuition and intuitive art? What does that mean for you?
Mhm. Well, I like to talk about the difference between instinct and intuition. I think instinct is it's kind of a human survival form of intuition. It's like you feel it in your gut. It's that belly, sort of that gut feeling. And so it tells you what the safe street is to walk down on. And, it kind of navigates you through your human life. And so I've always done very meditative walks. And so I always practice it like, okay, what would be the best street to walk down? What do I need to see? Where do I need to go? And I've done that for years and years. So that's it comes from the gut, that gut feeling. Intuition, as I understand it, it comes from a higher center. It comes from the third eye, and in a sense, it comes from the soul. So today, when we get to the creative practice part of this session, I'm going to guide you and everyone who's watching into lifting up the energy to the third eye and how to do that in a very simple way. Intuition is also above the emotions that we struggle with. So I'm an expressive arts educator, and so I do a lot of shadow work, and that comes from sort of if you want to think of the chakra system or the energy system, that comes from the lower chakras. And so it's interesting to work from intuition, because what it does is it's kind of an overseeing of your whole life, so as we work with the watercolor paints today, we'll be in a flow state, in a meditative, non-thinking state. And that also reveals everything down below because it's higher, right? So that's how I think of the intuition.
Beautiful. I love that distinction between instinct and intuition, because I think we get those, that sort of clouds our understanding of what our intuition is. Because, yeah, there's that primal gut feeling. I think we're all familiar with that. And then there's that sort of higher, coming in from a higher from a higher level kind of feeling. And they're
Yeah.
related, but they're not the same.
Yeah, they're different. It's just we do need to have some kind of a gut instinct on how to lead our human life. What do we need to eat on a given day? How do we need to exercise? How do we need to, kind of navigate our human survival? So, really, when you think about it, instinct really points to that, intuitive instinct, gut feeling. But yeah, sometimes I think they get confused.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Shelley, I've been asking all our guests on this retreat, what for you personally, what are the red flags or those telltale signs when your energy is getting depleted, or when the well is running dry, as we've been saying all week? How do you personally tune into those signs?
Oh, yeah. It's actually become very easy for me. I know that as soon as I'm not breathing deeply, and typically it'll be when I've been overworking, and I'll notice I'm having a hard time taking a deep breath. That means I'm in fight, like a fight flight sort of sympathetic nervous system state. And also, I can't think straight. So I noticed that I just like, oh, I can't flow with my work. I'm not working from, a flow state, from an intuitive state. And so what I've taught myself to do and what I work with my therapy clients is doing constant little mini resets throughout the day. And however that is, like if just need to lay flat on the floor, Feldenkrais style, just flat on the floor and just become very still, or to do like a 5-minute meditation. And then as soon as the body takes a spontaneous deep breath, that means that we're back in parasympathetic. And then, I notice that my brain comes back online. And so I try to take frequent little mini sort of regulation breaks throughout the day. And so that for me helps to prevent the big crash, because the way I used to do it was I used to work full time. I had a private practice on my evenings and weekends. And prior to that, I was going to school really intensely, studying therapy. And I think I was just in those upper levels of kind of fight flight all the time, and I didn't actually recognize it. So by the time Friday came around, I just crashed emotionally, physically, often had to sleep most of the weekend. So, for me, I very quickly learned, okay, every little minute that I have, like even when I was working full time in a hospital in an art therapy program, I would just go take my lunch hours by myself and just do a little nervous system reset, have a little 10-minute nap, do a little bit of journaling in my car. And then I was able to go back and just go and be with people all day. But yeah, those resets, really typically, should happen pretty much every hour and a half for most people, because we're not meant to do this sustained push all the time, but we're very pressured in our society just to go. And I mean, because you've got a business, you've got kids, you've got lots to do. So it's like, it's very easy for our brains to tell us we have to push through. But those little resets, I've seen people come back from extreme burnout, even to the point of what we used to call a nervous breakdown, by just doing those. As soon as you notice that you're not breathing deeply, as soon as you notice that you're not thinking clearly, just that little meditative reset, the deep breath, and then you can go back and go back to your life.
That's such a powerful tip. I think so many of our viewers are, first of all, going to resonate with that pattern of going until you crash. Like you just,
Yes.
that's how we're taught it's supposed to be. But, and while retreats like this are wonderful, but our lives are full and we can't always take time for a 4-day retreat. I think having, a little mini break reset is such a powerful tool for everybody to have, because that's the reality of most of our lives, most of the days. We've got a minute here and a minute here, and just just sharing how powerful that is when you can take 1 minute or one breath, how sometimes that's really all we need.
Yeah. Even even just going to the bathroom, and sometimes for busy moms or people who are working in a full-time job, it's just sitting there for a minute and just just gathering that just resetting and switching into parasympathetic, and then being able to go back into life. It's just, you're right, it only takes 1 minute sometimes. And it's curious because we have all these nervous system hacks now. It's like really, really big now, that all these little things you can do, you can tap, you can, do all of these things to bring yourself back to regulation. But I think just getting quiet and still, and just closing the eyes and shutting out the stimulation. I'm a real big fan of that spontaneous deep breath that comes, and I wait for it, so you can do all of that. Okay, I'm going to breathe in this way, and there's all of that. But sometimes just relaxing until the body says, okay, I'm ready to go back to life. I like it to come naturally. It's quite interesting, but it comes from being very still and stimulus down, resting in some way, if it's possible.
Yeah, I talk about stillness and quiet a lot in this community, and it always just strikes me how intentional you have to be in our modern world to find stillness and quiet. Like, they no longer just happen organically. We can fill every minute with stimulus. And if you want, that silence and that stillness, you really have to intentionally be aware of choosing it.
Yes, you sure do. You sure do. Yeah, we're always going for that dopamine hit, and we have all these beautiful things. I'm a self-confessed Instagram addict. I love looking at beautiful art.
Yeah, same.
And so I can get on there just in any minute, any spare minute. Oh, I wonder what beautiful thing I can look at. I'm just looking for a little spike or a little hit or a little bit of excitement. But unfortunately, that does keep us into that high sort of beta brain, fast brain wave state. And so, yeah, instead, just maybe closing the eyes for a moment or taking that breath or just waiting for that breath, which is what I like to do.
Beautiful. All right, Shelley, I know you have a painting practice you're going to do with us today. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is what I'm calling meditative intuitive painting. So we're going to go very slow today. And I'm going to guide everybody, first of all, into just a little brief meditation that you can do before this process every time. It's just very, very simple. And if you're okay with it, I'll just maybe lead everybody
Yes.
in that, and then I'll go over to my painting table and show a few examples. So basically, we're just gonna straighten our spines and just get that light from the higher self and the grounding from the ground just to come up into the spine, because we're going to be focusing on this area right here between the eyes. So just sit comfortably and close your eyes gently. And so in this process, you just want to take a few breaths through your nose up from the diaphragm and hold the breath for a moment at the end of your inhales, and then exhale through your mouth. And in this meditation in particular, it's very important to relax your face, because our face can be tense. So you might want to just, work with your jaw and just bring relaxation and warmth into your face. And then you can just spread that relaxation down to your body. Just relax more and more. Now, the main part of this meditation is to focus your attention between your eyebrows. So you can just tap there gently with your finger behind, if you want to. That starts to stimulate the third eye chakra in the Eastern energy medicine system. Just do that a few times. And then another trick to access your intuition, which is really fun, is just to lift up your eyeballs behind your closed eyelids until you feel kind of a slight strain. So you're just kind of lifting them up. And the purpose of this is it just takes all of your energy up, 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 up. And so just imagine, you can just create a slight strain for a minute or two and then just let yourself relax. And you just want to become aware that you're inviting your third eye chakra to open. And just sense or pretend, if you're not sensing anything, that there's this kind of increase of energy. And that's in the pineal gland between your eyebrows. And you can imagine that it's opening and that it's radiating light. And then you can just imagine that the light is traveling out from your third eye and it's radiating all around you, 360 degrees. And you can just create whatever radius you want, how far it might go out or whatever feels comfortable. And now I'm going to ask you to just let go and release any thoughts. I'm going to give you a mantra that you can use throughout this painting process that I've used for years for all of my intuitive art. And it is, still mind, I don't know. We don't want the logical mind to come into this process. So still mind, I don't know. And just continue to relax. And then just allow this sphere of light in your forehead to grow all around your head, and just observe that light radiating around your forehead. And before you start to paint, you can say, I am fully present in this moment, here and now, because we must paint from the present moment when we're working intuitively. So I'm going to invite you to slowly open your eyes when you feel ready, and I'm going to take you all over to my art table. I'm going to show you what this looks like. So this is the way I do this is very non-objective, and it's just mark making. And we're just going to start with a line and build meditatively from there. So this is just a lot of lines. We're going to be doing some free writing later and a little poem to make some meaning of it. But these are just some samples of how I do it. How you do it will be quite different. But of course, the process is very slow, and it starts with one line and just building off of that line in a way that feels really right for you. So typically we don't really allow ourselves to do what feels right moment after moment after moment. That's why we get dysregulated. That's why we get burnt out, right? So this is just a practice of doing what feels right in each moment. So I'm going to get my paints here. And Amy, you're going to paint along with me. And I like to spray my paints so they're nice and wet. And always with intuitive painting, we're just going to intuitively choose what feels right. And so let's just start with one line. And then whatever feels right with that line, let's just add line after line after line. Now, if you start thinking, it's important to bring in the mantra, still mind, I don't know, because you won't enjoy this process if you're thinking, because typically we're taught to maybe have an end goal or even an intention for our artwork. And so with this process of sort of meditative, intuitive painting, there's actually no intention. And that's because we want to create a state of pure flow. And in that state of pure flow, we're not necessarily painting a purely spiritual painting or anything like that, because whatever is not of the flow is going to come maybe in the form of muddy colors if you're drawn to them, or little blockages, but everything you need to know will come from this higher level of witnessing and intuition. So it's just kind of like just moving from one right thing to the next. And this is what we learn about intuition the more we practice it, is that in this meditative process, there's always just one right color and there's one right next thing. And of course, when you work non-objectively, it's kind of fun because your logical mind doesn't necessarily have to come in at this point, because we're working with just the energy of how we feel and how we are today. So if you're not enjoying this process, you're probably thinking. So just go back to the mantra. Still mind, I don't know, because this could turn out to be maybe something that doesn't look conventionally beautiful, but it's beautiful to you because it's true for the moment. So we're not really actually going over, going for a piece of fine art here, or even intentional creativity. This is all very, very surprising and unintentional. And so in a sense, this is kind of like a release of energy. And watercolor is so wonderful for this because it's like creates a kind of a flow. And just doing this kind of work alone without the free writing that we're going to do later is actually enough of a release unto itself. It's just that it's a right brain emotional release, and the left brain doesn't understand it. So that's why I always bring words into the intuitive art that I facilitate for that reason. The left survival brain really is not on board for this kind of process unless it has some kind of conscious understanding of what all of this is. And that's because we actually can't change on a deep, deep level what we don't understand on a conscious level. So we live in this free will universe, but we can't exercise our free will until we actually know what we're working with deep, deep down. Which is really interesting because, yes, we're having a release here through this flow, but we must become conscious of what this is so that we can do something with it, so we can exercise the will to change if we need to change or what have you, to understand what's going on a subconscious level and an unconscious level. But this is typically what comes out in a flowing sort of intuitive meditative painting is just what's on the edge of the subconscious today. The unconscious feeds up to the subconscious mind, and then what I call comes up to the growth edge. So we're painting from our growth edge today, which means we don't consciously really actually know what it means just yet. And so the unconscious feeds up to the subconscious, and the subconscious feeds up to the growth edge. And then the growth edge reveals something new, and then it's our job to help the conscious mind understand it so it knows how to work with it. And you might not understand everything all today, because I always find that really, really, really deep intuitive art such as this doesn't usually make sense to me for about a week or two. Sometimes it used to take me about 6 months, sometimes a year when I first started working like this. But I just did a piece a week ago, and I thought, what on earth does that mean? I have no idea. And the meaning just came clear to me this weekend, very, very, very profoundly. So when we're working from the subconscious to the growth edge, there's this period sometimes where we can't consciously understand. So we're going to kind of grope our way through a free writing process and a little spontaneous poem today. But that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to grasp the whole thing today. How are you doing over there?
I'm doing great. I'm just taking in all that you're saying, Shelley. I'm having so many like aha moments as you're talking about this. And I love that just that permission that it doesn't have to, we don't have to instantly know what
No.
it means or what it is. I think we in our modern culture we think that a lot. Like it has to instantly make sense so we can figure it out, so we can fix it, so that so just that permission to, sit with it for a time.
Yes,
Let it
yes,
not make
exactly.
sense.
Yes, exactly. Let it not make sense. And so um, the logical left brain doesn't really like really pure intuitive processing very much.
Mm.
And so typically what happens if you let your logical left brain come in is it'll go, oh, this is kind of ugly. I'm not going to finish this. This is ridiculous. Doesn't make sense. And so it's actually hard to stay with an intuitive practice if we let our logical left brain come in too much in the beginning. We do want to employ it because it is our free will power. It's very, very important, but it needs to come in after this process is complete. So the whole aim of this practice is to meditate with paint and line and color with as still a mind as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And really, if you're not enjoying it, and I just need to keep it, saying it again and again, it means that you're typically judging what you're doing. And the thing is, we really do not give ourselves permission just to do whatever we want in life. There's all of these shoulds, and that leads to burnout. And that's what we're talking about in this retreat, right? So just to give yourself a little corner of time where you're just doing exactly what your intuition is calling you towards is tremendously restorative.
Yes. And I
So I'm
think
just going to go ahead.
just we have this fear that like something bad will happen if we just let ourselves do what
Yeah.
good.
Yes, that's so well said. Yeah, that's the survival brain kicking in, and and oftentimes with a practice like this, the survival brain will say, well, what's the point of this? This isn't this isn't sort of serving my practical life. I'm not getting things crossed off my list. This isn't, yeah, it's not, what is this for? I have to do a big sell for people with intuitive painting in a sense, or in any kind of intuitive art, because it kind of doesn't actually make sense
Yes.
to the logical mind. There's so much that could be done. And even people in meditation, they often say to me, I always thinking about my to-do list and what I really should be doing. And
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. And I'm just going to keep on painting until you're ready to write. Just go as long as you want until you feel complete. I typically do this practice on the weekends when I have more time, because I work time during the week. And so I give myself a lot of space and time just to relax into this process. So this is a nice thing to do during a retreat if people have set their 4 days aside to just really do this. And then I do kind of a form of intuitive drawing during the week, where I have these little sketchbooks all over the house,
Mm-hmm.
in my bedroom, in my office, everywhere, the kitchen. And I'll just sit down and I'll just do a little kind of intuitive drawing in black lines. So I don't always get out the colors every day, just because I don't have time. But this working with color is just so infinitely satisfying. It's my favorite thing to do in this season of my creative practice.
And I always like to remind our retreat viewers that the reason we do these sessions pre-recorded is that so you can tune into and follow your own rhythm. So use that pause button. Some people are naturally fast, some people are naturally slower and more methodical. And if we move on for just the sake of our time here, but you're still in flow with your piece, just use that pause button. Keep going at your own rhythm, and then join us back when you're done.
Yes, that's
Great.
beautiful. Mm-hmm. That's great. So this process is, yes, just making the subconscious conscious, and as you say, Amy, not being too concerned about figuring it all out today, but basically just working with exactly where you are right now today, just whatever wants to come.
All right, so I feel like I could probably just keep going and going, but
Yeah,
let
me too.
me Why don't we call it a pausing point and we can shift into
Yes. Yes, let's do it. Let's do some writing. Oh, look at that. Lovely, 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 lovely. Okay, so let's do a little bit of free writing. And how I recommend this is just to look at your piece first and write down whatever words come to mind. Now, at first, when people start this process, it's common just to identify colors and metaphor of colors. So I might say squiggly green, bright yellow, but just free associate and just let your subconscious bubble up with words. And then we're just going to, after that, just form it into just a very, very simple poem, right? So it's just this kind of free association writing is very rudimentary at first, so don't worry about that. So I always just, start writing what I see. And of course, this can become really eloquent and refined with time. And of course, any odd words or strange words that come in, just go ahead and let them come in. And typically if you want, this whole poem can be just about color and the metaphor of color. But as I say, it will grow more eloquent with time as you practice this. And then after you have 5 to 10 words, just take those words and just arrange them into some kind of a spontaneous poem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just going to switch cameras so we can have a little share when you're ready. Okay. All right. Do you want to share your poem first, or?
Sure.
Okay.
So mine is blood flowing in veins becomes a system of rivers. Birds with open wings take flight into flames.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful. Can we see your picture one more time? I want to hear that again. Oh, see? Oh, that's just brilliant. Do you have your words on the back of that page?
They're on a separate page.
Could you read it one more time with the picture? That would be so
Sure.
nice. Thank you.
Yeah. Blood flowing in veins becomes a system of rivers. Birds with open wings take flight into flames.
Oh, wow. A system of rivers. Isn't that beautiful? How does it feel for you to have done that process? Does it
That
feel?
was really fun. And I'm still sitting with the, you saying there is no intention and there is no
Yes.
objective because I think, yeah, just making it unintentional is equally as beautiful as, we talk a lot about intention in our community and this invitation to be unintentional is just so equally beautiful and has so much value to it. So that was a really,
Mhm.
yeah, that will definitely be something I'm sitting with.
Yeah. Well, intention is lovely because we need intention in order to climb up over the heaviness of earth life, right? We do need to climb. And so to have an intention of joy or peace, or have a higher intention to work towards, is a marker that I think is really important. Typically non-intentional art, into like this kind of intuitive art, it can reveal things. And today you had a very spiritual reveal anyway. So there was no intention, but the reveal seemed to come through as on a very high level. I do believe mine did too. So, but if I had blocks, that might have come up today to show me as well. So here I wrote, I just did a very simple color metaphor poem. I am strong blue. Again, I had a river like you, a river of yellow, magenta, brilliant, I am. So I'm feeling very strong today, and I thought that came through on my painting. That's just my energy today, and that just shows me where I am today. So in a way, these kinds of works are just I guess you could say like a non-intentional check-in in a sense, right? And it just starts that intuitive language flowing, that free association. I mean, your poem was just beautiful. And and something to meditate on, right? And typically with this kind of work, when it comes from the complete unknown or the growth edge, or it hasn't yet become fully conscious, and in that sense intention is conscious. It's free will. It's saying I'm using my free will to be very intentional, but this is something that needs to come into consciousness. So I would typically say to somebody, okay, well, put that piece up somewhere, repeat the poem. In the expressive arts, what we do is we kind of live into the work. So you might speak the poem out loud like you have. You can dance the poem. You can sing the poem. You can dance the piece. You can just really start to live into it until it feels very integrated. And then you can do the next piece. And so that's sort of an expressive arts kind of the modality of the expressive arts is usually trying to bring more of the senses and more different modalities into the piece. So today we did two. I typically am able to facilitate art and writing online. That's typically what I do. But there might be a movement to this piece for you or for me. But basically you want it to fully integrate so that the next emerging of your growth edge can come up really clean and clear. So I typically live into my intuitive art until it feels neutral. Mm-hmm. So when it feels alive, I leave it up and I look at it, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, I'm done with that. I know that now. It's not, and so the reason I leave it up also is I'm waiting also for more insights, right? I'm because sometimes there's mysterious pieces to it where, I wasn't in my super deep state because I was facilitating today. So I was also sort of in my other brain, my logical brain, teaching at the same time. But now what I can do is I will really meditate into the different sections of the piece and write some more associations. And when it feels complete, then it's time to turn the page and do the next piece. So that's how that works.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Shelley. That was a beautiful process. Thank you for sharing it with us. Before we say goodbye today, I know you have a gift that you're offering our community today. Could you tell us about that?
Yes. So it is an intuitive creativity challenge, and it's very, very easy for anybody to do. There are 3 processes: a very simple intuitive collage process, a very simple intuitive painting process, and a very simple intuitive writing process. And so it's just a kind of a starter program, for people who are just kind of new to this work, with the theory behind why you would want to do this kind of work. And it's totally free, and everybody's welcome to come over and try it out.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Well, Shelley, thank you so much for being here today. It's been just lovely in taking all of your wisdom and all of your experience with this form of art. And I know that it's going to resonate with our viewers. And I also just want to invite our viewers, don't forget to hop back into our Facebook group. We would love to see what you painted today with Shelley. If you are feeling brave and want to share your poem as well, we would love to witness your poem along with your visual art. So jump in and share with us. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We will be back soon with another session. Take care. Bye, Shelley. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. ExpressiveArtWorkshops.com.